Did you know the last minute checks you should run before clicking the submit button on your test day? These checks can either make or break your writing score. After several years of helping students like you, I can tell you this for sure. The difference between a band 7 and a band 8 often comes down to these tiny, that's critical details. Hello, I am David, and I am an IELTS coach. I provide writing guidance to students like you who struggle with IELTS writing. There are 5 points on this checklist that will be explained together in this video. The first is formatting, which includes punctuation. Second is subject-verb agreement. The third is tenses. The fourth is spelling, while the last, which is the fifth, is singular and plural. Now, let's take a dive right in. First up, punctuation and formatting. This is where many candidates lose easy marks. Let's break it down. The first is capitalization. Always start your sentences with capital letters. For example, if you start a sentence this way, that is, the government should invest in education, is wrong. The better way to start it is to make sure that the first letter of that sentence is capitalized. In this form, the government should invest in education. Okay. 2 is paragraphing. Organize your ideas into clear paragraphs. One idea, one paragraph. No exceptions. IELTS essays should have 45 paragraphs, an introduction, 2 or 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. If your essay is just one long paragraph, expect to lose marks for coherence. Thirdly, commas and full stops. Use them correctly. For example, writing a sentence like this, as in the first sentence, is wrong and calls for attention. This type of writing should be done this way. However, comma, the economy is growing, comma, but many people are still unemployed. This is an example of a standard English. Lastly, under punctuation and formatting is semicolons. Use them to connect related ideas to independent clauses. Here is an illustration. The demand for renewable energy is increasing. Semicolon. Government must invest in solar and wind power. This is a good example that you can use. Do not use comma. Do not use a comma to connect this type of sentence or this type of clauses. These are two independent clauses. The first one is the demand for renewable energy is increasing. This clause can stand on its own as a sentence. Government must invest in solar and wind power. This is another clause. It is an independent clause and it can stand as a sentence. So together you have a single sentence. The demand for renewable energy is increasing. Governments must invest in solar and wind power. Remember, punctuation is like traffic signals for your writing. It guides the reader and keeps everything clear. Proper punctuation makes your writing clear and professional. Here are quick tips for you. Start every sentence with a capital letter. Use paragraphs. One idea per paragraph. Remember commas, colons, semicolons, and full stops to break long sentences. And do not overuse exclamation marks. This is an academic test and not your regular social media post. Next one, that's the next points that you need to check, is subject-verb agreement. This is a big one. The verb must always match the subjects. Let's look at some examples. This construction needs to be revised. Look at it. The number of students are increasing. You should have the number of students is increasing because the number is acting as the subjects and not students. Hence, you will say or write the number of students is increasing since the number is the subjects. Here is another example. Each of the candidates have their own strengths. This is what you should have in proper English. Each of the candidates has their own strengths and not have their own strengths. Mistakes here scream carelessness to the examiner. Don't let that happen to you. Now, let's talk about tenses. Using the wrong tense can confuse the examiner and cost you marks. Here is a quick tip. For example, if you're writing about general facts, use the present simple tense. Climate change affects all countries. And this is because you're talking or writing about general facts. If you're discussing past events, use the past simple tense. The Industrial Revolution transformed the global economy. This is an example of a past simple tense. And if you are predicting future trends, use the future simple tense. For example, renewable energy will replace fossil fuels in the coming decades. Always double check your tenses to ensure consistency and accuracy. And here is a quick tip for you. If you see time markers like yesterday, last year, in 2020, use past tense. If you see next year, by 2030, then use future tense. Spelling. This is a silent killer of IELTS scores. Even small spelling errors can make your writing look unprofessional. Here are some examples. We have omission errors. Okay, omission errors happen when a candidate omits a letter that is supposed to be in the spelling of a word. For example, you have environment as seen there. Letter N has been omitted in the word environment. Another one is accommodation. Accommodation has double C and double M. That is CC and MM. But in the case of omission errors, you have just single C and single M. This is incorrect. Another example is basins. Yeah, some even add I before the U and remove I before N, as in business. All right. Another type of errors is addition errors, where you have candidates adding letters where they are not needed in the spellings of words. In this case, instead of occasion, that is having CC and double S. This is wrong. You're supposed to have CC and single S in the spelling of occasion. Another example is across. Many students would have something like this when they make mistakes in their spellings, especially errors related to addition of letters. CC for across instead of a single C and a double S. Lastly is disappointments. Okay, some students add S to disappointments, making it double S in disappointments instead of single S. So you have DISSAPPOINT. This is wrong. The right spelling of disappointment or disappoint should be DISAPP disappoints. There are other errors. Yes, that's inversion errors. Many people want to write receive or definitely, and they put a indefinitely, and some people put a indefinitely. That's a after n. This is wrong. Supposed to have your definitely spelled Definitley. And for your receive, yes, it is spelled Receive. For some candidates, when they make mistakes in the spellings, or candidates who make mistakes in the spellings, write Receive. This is wrong. Last but not least is singular and plural forms. This is another area where candidates often slip up. For example, many students struggle with this issue. This is wrong with student having no S after many. This is wrong because the word many shows a plurality. So you're supposed to have S after a noun that is coming after many. So just like you say, many students, many cups, many schools, many chairs, many tables, and the rest of them like that. Another example is the data shows that the economy is growing. This is wrong because the data is a plural word, is a plural noun, and shouldn't carry a singular verb. So you should have the data show that the economy is growing rather than the data shows that the economy is growing. Another example is the informations I found online was helpful. This is totally wrong. All right. You can have S after information because the word information is uncountable. And so you should have the information I found online was helpful rather than the informations I found online was helpful. We have other examples of this kind of word. We have them such as equipment and furniture. I'll be talking more about the rest of the examples in the next tip I will give you. Wait a moment. I have one more crucial tip for you, and that is articles. Many candidates lose marks because they forget to use a, on, or the correctly. All right, but we're going to clear these up once and for all. Okay, the first rule is use a or on for singular countable nouns when mentioning something for the first time. Examples include I saw a cat in the garden. This is first mention. A cat is a first mention. Right. She bought an orange. We use on before vowel sounds. Examples, an apple, an R, but we say a university because university starts with a U sound and it is a consonant sound. Rule number 2, use the for something specific or when mentioning something for the second time. Examples, I saw a cat in the garden. The cat was black. The cat was black is the second mention. I saw a cat is the first mention. So a cat is the first mention. The cat is the second mention. Paris is the capital of France. Why? It's only one Paris that we have, one France that we have. And so it's only one capital that France has. And so we say Paris is the capital of France. What this means is that Paris is the only capital of France. There is no other capital in France except Paris. Rule number 3, no article with plural or countable nouns in general statements. Cats are independent animals. Not the cats are independent animals, not the cats, unless you're referring to a specific group of cats. And here is another example. She loves coffee, not the cafe, unless you were talking about a specific cup of coffee. Here are common mistakes you should avoid, okay, in your IELTS writing. I need an advice. This is wrong. I need advice is right because advice is an uncountable noun and does not require an article. She's a teacher in the university. She's a teacher in a university will be right rather than she's a teacher in the university. If you're saying she's a teacher in the university, then it means you are specific about a university. So there must be a university that you have in mind. So you don't say she's a teacher in the university, except you have a university in mind and that you have mentioned earlier before saying this statement or writing this sentence. So if you have a university in mind at your first mention, make sure that you mention the name of the university. Then in your second mention, you can say the university. Okay, do not say the university at first mention in your writing or in your speaking. You can say a university at first mention. Then, when you have made a specific university known, you can say the university. And your examiner or your reader will know the university that you were talking about. And next example is I bought an equipment. The right thing to write would be I bought a piece of equipment because equipment is a set of tools. So equipment is not a tool, but a set of tools. You can say I bought a piece of equipment, or you can say I bought an item of equipment rather than saying I bought an equipment. So it's just like information. You can say I found informations online or I found an information online. No, that would be incorrect. The correct way to put that would be I found a piece of information or I found an item of information online. Just like you're going to say I found a piece of equipment or I bought an item of equipment. She has a nice furniture in her house is another example. She has a nice furniture in her house. This is wrong. Okay, she has nice furniture in her house. Notes a nice furniture because the word furniture cannot take a. It's a group or a set of items, or a set of appliances or a set of gadgets. So you can't say furniture. You can't say some furnitures, but you would say a piece of furniture or just furniture in your writing. So there you have it. The last minute 5 points checklist. Of course, we've talked about punctuation and formatting, subjects verb agreements, tenses spelling, singular and plural forms. Make sure that it takes some minutes to check these 5 details, 5 things before you submit your essay. Trust me, it could be the difference between band 6.5 and band 7 plus. Remember, IELTS success isn't just about big ideas, it's about the small details too. Use this checklist and you'll be one step closer to your dream score. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.